And then most people think all of the government was behind attacking Parihaka, but in actual fact there was huge debate. There were those who supported not attacking Parihaka but negotiating, but the majority of the parliament at that time were very conservative, and many of the key members of parliament at that time were veterans of the war in the 1860s, and they refused to accept any negotiation with Parihaka. So they got together a large contingent of 1,700 troops from all over the country, but in particular from New Plymouth. They had a cannon, an Armstrong cannon, which is a field cannon at that time, one of the largest cannons that you can haul over land, and they stationed themselves at Pungarehu, just here. For 2 weeks they practiced their manoeuvres. The people of Parihaka knew exactly, they was just down the road, they could not see them. And then on the 5th of November, the troops came through into Parihaka. They came through in large numbers. Apparently, the excuse they said that they needed all of the firepower was because Titoko Waru was here, and they were of the view that Parihaka would fight back. But it's known quite widely that was just an excuse, because it's the only battle in the history of New Zealand where two members of parliament were at the front of the fighting force. So John Bryce and James William Rolleston, two members of parliament, were at the front of the force that invaded on horses. When they came through, the first group of people that the troops on horses came across were children. So Parihaka deliberately put tamariki out, and they were playing games, skipping ropes, playing knuckle bones, string games, spinning tops, singing, doing neri, those sorts of things. That's who the troops met with when they came into Parihaka. Initially, that was to show the troops that Parihaka had no intention to fight back. Why would you send children there as point of first contact with troops? When they rode through the children, they rode their horses through what the children were doing. The next group of people they came across were women bringing kai, bringing bread, cooked potatoes, all of that things, carrying food to give to the soldiers and the cavalry. The soldiers carried on through the women, and they came around the corner. You see the hills, the two hills where the road comes between the two hills. They came around there, and when they arrived, all of the people were sitting just outside here, just on the other side of where you got the hangi and that, all the way through there. They were sitting in that area quietly. We don't know exact numbers, but generally some of the accounts estimated at around about 3,000 people, 3,500 to 3,000 people were sitting there quietly when the troops came around. The first things the troops did is they searched the whole of Parihaka. They went through all of the houses, but they didn't find a single weapon. And actually, they didn't find knives. Parihaka had put all knives aside in case knives were seen as a potential weapon and used as an excuse to attack. So they searched the houses. Most of our whānau have stories about the way in which all things of value were plundered through that period, and all of the food was destroyed in all of the houses. They pulled the cannon up on top of the hill here. So the hill, when you come around, the hill on your left as you're coming around, is they pulled the cannon on top. They aimed the cannon down at the people sitting down below. And once they had finished searching all of the buildings, and they determined that all of the people were now gathered there in the middle of the community, Bryce on his horse gives the ultimatum. It's along the lines of, you have 4 hours to leave Parihaka, or we will open fire with the cannon, and we will not be responsible for the bloodshed that will come upon you today. We also, most of us know the story about the dog doing the mihi on the gunpowder. That was a dream that one of the kaumātua had the night before. They didn't know that the cannon was going to be pulled up onto the hill, but they had had a dream about a cannon being brought into the community, and a dog walking up a hill and doing a mihi on the gunpowder. And when they talked about their dream, they said, that is a sign for us that no matter what happens, the cannon will not fire because the gunpowder is wet with the dog's mihi. Anyway, the 4 hours came and the 4 hours went. And in that 4 hours, not a single person had moved. Everyone was exactly where they were. So they called Bryce's bluff. He carried on waiting and continued threatening. But even at the end of that day, not a single person had moved. So what they did, this was on the 5th, and then on the 6th, Bryce conceded that he wasn't going to open fire with the cannon, which is what we celebrate in Parihaka on the Pāhua. So you heard about the Pāhua, which in Parihaka we always celebrate the day after the actual day. Maybe it doesn't make sense for a lot of people, but that's a practice that Parihaka always does. So we always meet on the 18th. The 18th commemorates the 17th of March. What was the 17th of March? It was the day that the first shots were fired in Waitara. So we meet on the 18th of every month. We have been for the last 150 years. 150 years we've been meeting every month, every 18th, to gather and create a forum for discussion and building shared connection. And it's open to anyone to come along. So the 18th and the 19th now. So the cannon was up on top of the hill. What they did is they had some Māori who were working with the government. They listened to the way they talked, or they knew some people. They said these people are from Waikato, so they got those people from Waikato, they loaded them onto carts, and they took them away. They put them onto the ship. They had ships that went around the coast, like the courier vans we see nowadays. So the ships went, and they carted the people back to the areas where they were from. And they were told never to return to Parihaka. And the people from Wanganui were taken to Wanganui, people from Tūhoe, Ngāpui, all of the people from tribes outside of Ngāti Moia and Taranaki were taken back to their areas. After about 11 days of just sitting there through the Pāhua, it's said, estimated at around 750 people were left. Some of the people who were taken away to other areas because they refused to talk to the troops, some of the people of Taranaki ended up being carted away to other people's iwi because of that approach. What they did then, after those 11 days, they got Tohu Te Whiti and another couple of other men, including Hiroki, who they hung and Mount Eden prison in a week's time. They took Tohu Te Whiti away to prison, and they occupied Parihaka. They built a fort on top of the hill where the cannon was, and they renamed on the maps. Some of the old maps still have the name. Fort Rolleston is the name of the hill on the maps. And they occupied Parihaka for 3 years. Troops here, with all of the men imprisoned down in the South Island.